During the 6 months of production of our Riding with Willy podcast, we happened to interview some very special people with some very special stories. Though these interviews did not fit the lighthearted content we traditionally present, we knew they deserved to be shared. You won't hear our Riding with Willy theme songs, musical segues, and shout-outs in this podcast, but rather the plain interviews we recorded that moved us to present them in a more serious light. And as in every episode, each of these passengers has given permission to share their interview. We hope you enjoy this very special presentation of Riding with Willy.
On 9/11/2001, Charles Murphy, a 20-year veteran of Engine Company 310 Brooklyn, arrived at World Trade Center Tower 2. Here is his story.
Hi, William.
Come on in.
How are you?
I am good.
Good.
You a firefighter?
Yeah, retired.
Thank you for serving.
Thank you.
Retired from where? New York?
Yeah, New York.
Yeah.
Oh, the Brooklyn. They call it the Brooklyn. The rest of the city called it the Brooklyn Fire Department because we didn't answer to anybody. We did our own thing.
You enjoying your stay?
Yeah, have a good time. It's a nice city.
You still work in the fire department?
No, I retired.
Yeah, how many years?
21 years.
Good for you. Do anything now?
Right now, no, nothing.
You came in right after 9/11, or right around?
I retired right after that.
Oh, that's when you retired?
Yeah, a year after.
Oh, so you didn't recently retire?
Yeah, I think the job wasn't the same. A lot of things changed.
Where were you that day?
I was there. I was on duty. I was working at a different firehouse in Fopperies. We got sent when the second tower got hit. We sent to Little Italy, firehouse in Mulberry Street. We just right over there. And then when the South Tower collapsed, we responded to the North Tower. We walk into the North Tower. There's Chief Downey. He was a pretty well-known chief of the fire department. He saw us. He said, "Guys, stop." He said, "Go across the street." And as soon as he said that, the North Tower came down.
So you were just moments away from entering the North Tower.
The chief that stopped us got killed.
He stayed in?
Yeah, he went
He
back
sent
in.
you guys across the street.
He ran back in to try to get more guys out. But,
What was the chief's name?
Chief Downey. Yeah, he was pretty well known on the fire department.
Well, that's a story.
Yeah. The poor guy.
I tell you what, I went just about a year after. To see a friend in Connecticut. We drove into the city, and I think there was a memorial wall that was stretched out forever. And I remember we went ahead and jumped out of a cab. We stood there looking at that wall. You could have heard a pin drop in that area. It was New York City. You could have heard a pin drop. It was very moving, very emotional. Seeing the firehouses.
And for months, there was right above the towers, pictures, missing people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Then in 2002, I marched in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. When we got to St. Patrick's, they had a moment of silence. Everybody turned back towards the towers. Same thing. You could hear a pin drop. There was like 1 million people there. It was so quiet.
Very emotional.
Yeah.
How's the city doing now? Is it coming back?
It was, but the crime's getting crazy. Yeah, too many shootings.
What do you think of the new mayor?
He says all the right things. I mean, he's trying, but I'm still not convinced. He was the best of a bad lot, you know.
And where do you live?
We're in the Bronx.
You still live there?
Yeah.
Nice.
20 years ago, I was living in Brooklyn. I worked in Brooklyn. That's why Brooklyn took a big hit, though, the fire department. A lot of companies responded from Brooklyn. Brooklyn, all Manhattan took. We lost the most guys, though.
You had a lot of friends.
Yeah, a lot of guys. This shirt's Michael Roberts. I know this. I worked with his father. I know this kid when he was like 10.
In 214.
Yeah, this is Bedford Stuyvesant. But him and his father were firemen together. I knew this kid since he was like 10 years old, and he got on the fire department. I think it was his first big fire. Poor kid, his first big fire got killed. You know? Yeah, everybody on the job knew somebody or had a relative, you know. Especially the fire department, a lot of fathers and sons and brothers on the job.
How many friends did you lose that day?
I think it's altogether about 60 guys that I knew.
60 guys that you knew.
The guys I worked with, I knew pretty good. Even though the wives' names, there's about 5 guys I knew really good that I was close with.
So you're going into the North Tower. Chief Downey
Yeah,
tells you guys to go across the street. And moments later, the North Tower comes down.
He said, guys, we got.
And how did you react to that? That must have been like, what the...
We didn't move, though. We stood on the ground. And then we were looking at the tower, and then
You watched it pancake down.
we saw the antenna. The antenna started going on the North Tower. That started coming down. That's when we started running, though. But we ran up West Street a couple blocks, and then got caught up in that
Regrouped.
the cloud.
Had all that.
Yeah, we grouped. We came back. We had a hose line in operation, but it wasn't really. 3 truckers ran. We put out 3 trucks. There was really else to do. We were looking for people. There was no signs of survivors. You would never know it was an office building. It was just dust and steel. Everything got ground up. But since then, about maybe 100 cops and firemen died of cancer. Though. So it's still killing people.
You doing okay?
I got a couple of things, but nothing major.
And what's your name?
Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy. Good Irish lad you are.
There's a few of us left on the job.
Yeah. Thank God. So you already had how many years? You were in your 19th or 20th year?
Yeah, 20th year.
And a year later you decided to retire. You took it around.
Yeah, I was thinking about sticking around, but then my friend was retiring. My friend went to a pension seminar, so I went with him. And then when it was over, I said, I might as well retire too. It's like, things weren't the same.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. I got to tell you right now, my name is William Kitchens. This is a reality podcast.
Is it?
Yeah, called Ridin with Willy. I'd like to know if I can use your story in my podcast.
Yeah, it's okay.
I want to share it. Thank you for sharing it.
Oh, that's all right, Willie. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I would have told you anyway, but
I know.
if people ask me, I tell them. I usually just talk about it with other firemen, but when people ask me, I'll tell them the story.
That's great that you do that to keep their memory alive on what happened. That's incredible that you were moments away from death yourself, and that
Chief Downey.
Chief Downey saved your life.
He was.
How many men were with you that day?
Oh, there was 5 of us, but we all got out okay. But when you see the video when they were in the lobby with all the chiefs, there was one chief that said, "Not for nothing, this building could collapse." That was Chief Downey that told him that. And then he went out.
You talking about the real footage?
Yeah, the real footage, yeah.
There's real footage of him doing that.
Yeah, there were 2 brothers in it filming a documentary. But it's funny, he was the only chief that mentioned it, said these buildings can collapse.
What do you say to those people, the conspiracy theorists?
Nah, that's nonsense.
Tell me.
Yeah.
I want to hear you say it. That's bull of crap.
Yeah,
that those buildings couldn't have collapsed.
It
was set up.
The way they were designed to collapse like that. And nothing was going to stop it, though. It was the jet fuel. It was burning too hot. It was just a matter of time. That's what Chief Downey told him. He said these buildings are going to come down. But nobody paid attention at the time. The guys still kept going up the staircases. Plus the fire department radios.
They wanted to get another life out. Just made as many. It was horrible when you got there, seeing people jumping.
Still jumping, yeah. There were guys on the top floor, I heard, fire department radios. They didn't even know the South Tower collapsed. That was still going up. They heard the boom, but they didn't know.
They had gotten all the way up.
Yeah, they didn't know what it was, though. They didn't know the building collapsed.
Oh, my.
Yeah. His son was working in the North Tower. The kid called his father, said, "Daddy, what should I do?" And his father said, "Go up to the rooftop, try to get on the roof." It turned out the doors are locked. But the only blessing was he was one of the first bodies they recovered. When they found
fireman?
His son. They found his son right away.
He was a fireman?
No, it was a fireman's son.
Okay.
Yeah, but the father told him go up to the rooftop. Yeah. Most rooftops, the buildings are unlocked.
I mean, thank God.
But the Twin Towers, they were locked, though. So people ran up there. They were trapped. They couldn't get out.
What was your job at the time? What was your position?
I don't know if it's
I was working at 310. It's a company in East Flatbush. I was the hookup man. It was my job to find a hydrant,
I don't think
Okay.
hook up to a hydrant, but
And your company was 310?
310, yeah. But after the collapse, we found 74 Rangers had it. They hooked up to a hydrant right across the street. So they had a working hydrant. So we had water. We stretched the line. We put out a lot of 3 was burning. And all we did was crawl around the North Bridge, looking for survivors, but there wasn't any. There was still people trapped in the building, but maybe a handful of people. Yeah. I heard them on the radio calling for help, and then the other companies went in trying to find them. We had to
How
help.
long after that day did you actually get to lay your head down and rest?
I went home that night, and probably at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had to go back to work the next day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you worked probably more hours in those few weeks.
Yeah, they changed our schedules around, so I think we worked maybe 3 days on and 1 day off.
And you still had to cover the rest of the city. There were still fires to put out and incidents. So you just lost how many firemen were killed?
343.
343.
There was a big percentage of
So-
the workforce, you know.
Yeah. So guys are working, 16-hour shifts, that kind of thing? Yeah.
Some guys were working 24 hours or 48 hours, 2 days,
Right.
2 days on, and they got a day off.
Because you still had calls to respond to. In addition to the
But
great search and
they detailed guys to the site. The other guys had to go back to the firehouses, but a bunch of guys were down there off duty, taking on their own time. Yeah, everybody wanted to help. But guys that were home off duty,
you had firemen from all the country coming
Yeah.
to New York to help, right?
everybody showed up. Yes.
Trent Bergeron was only in 3rd grade when the time came to evacuate New Orleans, Louisiana in the hours before Hurricane Katrina made landfall. Here's his story.
What about you? You grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Orleans.
Did you bring any crawfish with you? It's season's over.
Oh yeah. Don't try to eat any crawfish right now.
Nah,
You ever visited?
I sure have.
Oh hell yeah.
I was there 3 weeks before Katrina.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yeah?
I was in the 3rd grade when Katrina hit.
Okay.
That's it.
Hey, did you guys get out?
Oh yeah, we evacuated. We went north to Baton Rouge, and then looting was really bad up there. So then we evacuated to Shreveport up pretty much South Arkansas.
Uh-huh.
And we stayed there for a little bit. The city said it was okay to come back home. We came back. We had no power for a few months, and we were under like martial law. And that was, I was a kid, so I couldn't understand the full weight of everything going on. But
Well, it still must have been miserable.
still have some flashbacks of being hot as fuck, eating MREs, being hungry, and my mom always tells me about how she would go to the store. It's kind of like how COVID was, how they let so many people in at a time because the supply
And the shelves weren't
limited.
stocked.
Yeah, no one could get into the city to supply the stores. So she said she would. We have a Walmart down the street, but the only one that had stuff was an hour away. She'd go there, and they let 10 people in at a time, and they got a National Guard walking around with guns and shit and all that. So it was. I didn't have the worst experience of Katrina by any means, but it was still something. But there's thousands of people that had it way worse than I did. And
You still had your home, right?
still had the home. We
There
were
are
right
people that lost everything.
we were right at the border of the flood zone where the National Guard actually used my hometown as their outpost.
What town was that?
Luling, Louisiana. A little bit west of the city of New Orleans. About 20 minutes outside the main city. That was a crazy time. To me, as a dumb kid, I thought it was a vacation. I didn't know any better. I'm like, oh, I got a year off of school. It's
You're
all-
too young to be scared. Or
too young to be scared, don't know it wrong from right or whatever. But for every one of the kids that had the experience I did, there's maybe 50 kids inside the city who saw hell. You know, it was literal anarchy inside the city. It's crazy. You know, I'm blessed I never got to experience that.
How's your mom doing now?
She gets very antsy during hurricane season now. That's never gone away. She plans a lot better. She always makes sure I'm good whenever it comes down to hurricane season. But you know, she's holding strong. She's doing good.
She still lives there in the same house?
Yep. Same house my whole life. It stood strong. And
That's home, man.
my dad's actually a carpenter. He actually built that house with his dad. So that's.
And how are they both doing? Doing good?
Yes, sir. They're doing great.
Well, imagine if he was a carpenter, he had plenty of work after Katrina, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, my grandpa was a real carpenter, and he's the one that my dad was kind of like was his helper.
Okay.
And by the time Katrina hit, we had been living there for a while, and he had started his own life, and he's working in the. Trying to think what industry. It's not specifically the oil industry, but it's like the what his company does is they help with oil spills and consulting and managing environmental disasters. So like BP in 2009, he was all over that. You know, there's oil spills all the time with hurricanes and stuff, so they were really busy going on with that and all that. I did a little summer internship with this company.
Do you still have your grandfather too?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, man.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot to be happy about.
What's your grandfather's name?
Patrick Sr. and my dad's Patrick Jr. And they were about to name me Patrick the Third, and they ended up naming me Trent instead.
Why did they choose the name Trent? You know?
My mom was pregnant with me, and they were watching a National Geographic documentary about some monkeys or something.
Uh-huh.
And there was a little monkey named Flint. And from Flint, they got Trent.
That's great. What's your family's name? What's the last name?
Last name is Bergeron.
Well, that's definitely French.
Oh, yeah. It's a soft G in the middle.
Gotcha.
Ever since I joined the Navy, I've been called Bergeron, Bergertron.
It's Bergeron.
Bergeron, you got it.
Bergeron. Yeah.
And the only other people outside of Louisiana that have that name are from Canada, because that's where all the French
Canadians
people migrated from. So that's where Bergeron comes from. A good little story.
Trent, I got to ask you something.
Yes, sir.
That's a great story. Do you mind if I share this? Because this is a reality show.
Dude, go ahead.
It's called Ridin with Willy. See that?
It's what?
That's a microphone. This is a reality show called Ridin with Willy.
You're lying. I'm on a reality show?
There it is, right there.
No way.
Yeah, it's a podcast that comes out every week.
Wait.
I don't want to share your story.
Dude.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Do I have your permission?
You have my full permission to share the story, my man.
Working in a senior care center is not an easy job, especially while raising 4 kids on her own. She's adamantly dedicated to seeing them become successful. We call this interview The Good Mama. This is her story.
Without telling me you're patient, tell me what happened. You had this lady that did what?
She moved her bowels. Okay, I was supposed to be bathing her. So I have to lift her up and try to get her on her. She has like a side bed pot thing. So I have to lift her up and try to get her on the pot. She said she had to use the bathroom. That didn't work. It ended up on the bed, on my shoes, on my shirt, on my gloves. It was just everywhere. So I had to take time to clean that up before I can even get her, sponged off and stuff.
Hi.
And then sometimes you get some that's just empty acting. Like, it don't be them, it be the family members. Like, when you go in, the aunts or just different, the daughters and stuff like that have attitudes if you don't do something right. I don't know, it's just a mess to me.
What would you say to
I
those
would
people?
tell them they should be more understanding. They should be more understanding because, you know, even though it's our job, you know, some of the patients, we can actually love them, you know, because I done had some that I actually love going and dealing with them and stuff. So, you know, they make it hard on us to do our job when they have empty attitudes.
What do you like about your job there?
Just helping. It's nothing like helping someone to me. It makes me feel good for me to do, you know, a good deed. Because even though it's my job, it just, you know, helping somebody that can't help themselves, that make me feel good.
Hey, you just had a boy. You already have a daughter?
I have 3 daughters.
You have 3 daughters, so you got your boy on the 4th one.
Yeah.
Now, what are your dreams for your son?
Well,
You said you always wanted a boy, so
in this day and time, I want an all-around decent son. I don't like the games and all that stuff. Everybody want to be a rapper and all that. I don't want that for my son because to me, that's dangerous. Every rapper is getting shot or just it's something. So for my son, I want him to go to school, get an education, go to college, you know, open up a Black-owned business or just, you know, a business, period. Do something different than trying to be like everybody else. Because nowadays, all the boys are just trying to rap or, you know, just something. They're trying to basically follow the other kids. And I don't want my son to be a follower.
you want him to be a leader.
Yes.
Good for you.
I want him to open up some type of important business, whether it has something to do with cutting hair or just any type of restaurant, anything, basically just then, you know, living I'm just gonna say ghetto life. I don't like the ghetto life where all the sagging and, you know, stuff like that. I'm not into that for me to be young.
What about your daughters? What do you hope for them? What are your dreams for them?
I want my daughters are so smart. I want them to be beautiful, Black, intelligent women that can hold their own, stand their own ground, have their own money where they don't have to, I'm just saying, kiss a man's ass to get what they need because men can take advantage of that when you need handouts from them. I want them to be able to stand on their own where when they meet someone, they can be,
Self-empowered.
yes, and as one. You know, you bring a little bit to the table, they bring a little bit to the table, and that's how you make it. It can't be just a one-sided thing. So I don't want my daughters to just sit on their butt and think that they're supposed to wait on a handout. I want them to be, you know, just, my daughters want to be a doctor. One of them want to be a doctor. One of them's talking about being a basketball player. And then the other one, she's getting ready to be 2 pretty soon. But I just have different outlooks for my kids. I don't even let them hang around certain type of kids if I feel like they're a problem.
You sound like a great mom.
Yeah, I try to be.
So are you raising these kids on your own? Or is your mom helping you? Or who's got your back?
My sister, she was my biggest, you know, supporter, but she just moved to Atlanta. She bought a home in Atlanta, and she just got married. And she's okay. She's okay. And my mom, she helps when she can, but she's one of those types, you know, she's all into her husband, trying to tag along behind him. So it's kind of interfering with her being a grandmother.
So what's the hardest thing for you being a single mom?
Getting all of them up, getting them ready for school and combing hair and just it's like the same routine every day. And then weekends, that's our free time to really just splurge and get to have fun. But Every school day, it's the same thing. Find clothes at night, get them in the tub, get them to bed, make sure they eat good first and all that. So it's like, it's just a lot. When they get out of school, you have to cook, do homework, make sure they take their bath, make sure they have a little fun before bedtime because they really don't have too many hours before they have to go to sleep again. So, and then find clothes. It's the same thing. We don't switch it up during the week. When you put everybody else first and you last, you just, it's hard.
Yes, ma'am. We're almost here, so I got to tell you something. My name is William Kitchens. I've been interviewing you
Oh,
for this podcast.
okay.
Do I have your permission to share it with our listeners?
Yes, you can.
In The Green Monster, we discover that Zach really wants to stop drinking. He shares this with Willy, completely sober while on the way to the liquor store to purchase a new bottle. Here is his story.
Zach, what's up?
You doing all right?
You got to stop?
Yeah.
Is this a round trip or is it?
Yeah. It's here and there and then come back here.
Okay. Gotcha. Where are we going? Which store?
Going to the liquor store. Trying to kill this hangover, man.
That sounds like a good day.
I got work tomorrow, so it ain't too much of a good day. But tomorrow's tomorrow. Today is right now.
That's right. And it's still early.
My thing is, hangovers never get easier. I tell you that.
Where are you from?
I'm from Missouri.
How you like it in Nashville?
It's not bad, man. Like I'm only 3.5 hours from home, so it's not too much. I've been around Nashville a lot. We come up here. Went to like Bluebird cafes and stuff like that. I've been around here. This is probably the closest I've been at home. Wow. Most of the time we're usually in Texas, South Carolina. We're usually pretty far off. So it's not too bad being around here.
Okay. What's your bev of choice?
Man, if I had to choose, I like Jack and Coke. That's my thing.
Okay.
But now I went to the Absolute Vodka, and now like the Green Monsters. I just chase most of it.
So vodka and the Green Monster.
Yeah. It's not bad. It kills.
You don't even have to change the name. You just call it a Green Monster.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It changed the taste of. My wife, she's like, you don't need to drink whiskey. You drink whiskey, you get cocky. I was like, all right. Only around her though.
Oh, the brown liquor syndrome.
That brown liquor, yeah. I said, I'm 31 years old, man. I tell myself, man, I ain't ever drinking again. And then here comes Friday rolls around. It's just like, well, let's do it all over again, They just suck, man. Hangovers suck. When you should lay around and feel like crap, not me. It's like this work. Sweating, sweating your gut off, all that stuff. It's just a rotation, man. It's a rotation.
That's a rough job getting up with a hungover and having to go bed conduit.
Yeah, it sucks. But I choose to do it though, Nobody can stop me. I do have a drinking problem. Once I get started, I don't know when to stop it that way. Because there's a come down coming, what I'm saying? Everybody knows that. It's a come down. And nobody wants to face that. I don't like it. It sucks. But getting plastered and just sipping, just try to maintain it. It's been 14 years I've been dealing with it. See, it's crazy, man. Like, around where I live at, like, I'm 30 minutes from Tennessee, Harrisburg, Tennessee. And on Sundays, they don't sell liquor over there. But in Missouri, we sell liquor all the time. They don't even care, They sell it. 10 o'clock in the morning, they open up, they start filling. Usually it's like 6 a.m. they start selling.
Even on Sunday?
Even on Sunday. Well, no, at 10 on Sundays.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's like that here. I guess I ain't 10 on Sundays here.
Well, that was quick.
Oh, I'll try to get it now, man. I don't try to hold nobody up. Here you go, man. That's it.
I appreciate that, man.
No problem.
Really do. So what'd you end up getting, Jack or vodka?
Vodka.
Yeah. You already got the
It's
Green Monster?
Oh, yeah, I got that at the hotel.
Good.
I'm an alcoholic and I drink. I can stop, for like a week or two, whatever. But I don't like when I start drinking. It's hard for me to stop because I know the come down is coming, But Man, I was thinking if I had, like went to bed and had an IV in my arm or some oxygen or something like that, I think I'd be good the next day.
Well, if you want to quit, you should quit. You should pray about it and quit. If you feel like it's starting to get out of hand,
Oh man, like I said,
take care of your liver.
yeah.
Listen, I'm 62. I've had friends die.
See, I've had that. I went through the stages of fatty liver and stuff like that, and I'd wake up and all that be over. And then, like I said, like
Those energy drinks aren't good for you either.
oh, they're bad. They're bad for me. But that's what makes it taste good, though. Like the vodka, because I used to just drink whiskey.
Yeah.
And like beer, I don't like the taste of beer. It just don't have a taste.
And beer fills you up.
It does. It's like, like I said, I've always had a problem with alcohol. Always, I just maintain.
I'll do something about it, man. Go to a meeting or something.
Yeah.
I've had friends who have quit. You don't have to live your life under that.
I've been to rehab 5 times. But,
Well, go 6.
yeah, go 6. It might help. But
Go 7. I mean, do whatever it takes.
see, my wife, my kids, man. Like, I'm not an angry person. I'm not. Like, I'm really like I guess you could say a good drunk, because when I get home, me and my wife, we go out. Like, I'm not the mean person. Like, I don't get mean. I've never hit my wife. I never even touched, anybody. I mean, I'm just not a harmful person, man. I don't want to be that way.
Well, don't.
And that's why I don't do it, because,
Hit your knees and pray about it, man.
yeah. Like I said, I mean, I struggle with it.
I'm not going to hit you over the head with the Bible, but I'm telling you, hit your knees and pray about it. Listen, I got to ask you something, Zach. What, around here?
Yeah.
This is a reality show. See that microphone?
What?
It's a reality show called Ridin with Willy.
No.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
Am I allowed to use your story on my podcast?
Yeah, I mean,
I can?
Yeah. Because I want people to see what it's
I think
like,
people, and there are a lot of people like you, man, that struggle with it. And it'd be good for them to hear it.
Like I said, man, I struggle with it, but I maintain it. You know what I'm saying? Like, once I get off of it, I'm good. I can go. You know what I'm saying? But once I ever start doing it, it's hard to get off of it. I mean, it makes any sense.
Well, Zach, believe it or not, I'm going to pray for you, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm a manly God-believing God. You know what I'm saying? I've been to a lot of, like I said, I've been to rehab and stuff, dude.
Conrad's grandfather, Fred Sasakamoose, also known as Chief Thunderstick, was the first Indigenous Canadian to play in the National Hockey League. An incredible achievement remembered still today. Here is his story.
What's your name?
Conrad.
Conrad?
Yeah.
Where y'all from?
We're from Edmonton. Well,
Yeah.
I'm from Saskatchewan, myself.
Yeah?
They're from Edmonton, Alberta, yeah.
Nice.
Went on a trip with them. Yeah, my grandpa was the first ever NHL player, right? 1953-54, he played with Chicago Blackhawks.
And what's his name?
Fred Sasakamoose. Yeah, Freddie Sasakamoose played 53-54 with the Chicago Blackhawks back when there was only 6 teams in NHL.
And he was Native American, or was he?
It was Native. First Native to ever play in NHL.
It's quite historic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Family must be very proud of him. Is he still living?
He passed away last year in December.
How old was he?
86. That COVID got him, eh?
I'm sorry to hear that. What's the story about him that you remember the most? What's your favorite memory of him?
My favorite memory of him?
Yeah, with you.
Just hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Listening to his stories. Like, I go over to his house, just go visit with him and have coffee, right?
Right.
And he just try to give me stuff all the time, like all his old stuff. Like his jersey when he was playing in a residential school. Yeah, he grew up in a residential school, and he only played 9 games in the NHL, 9 or 11. He has a tournament. They've been putting on a tournament every year for the past 6-7 years in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and they invite everybody from all around the world, all around Canada, to come play in that tournament. That's called the Chief Thunderstick Francis Saskatoon's Chief Thunderstick Hockey Tournament.
So that was his native name, Chief Thunderstick?
Yeah.
That's great, because of hockey, I guess. Yeah, Chief Thunderstick.
And then, anyway, they invite all these teams all around Canada, teams come all the way from, kids from his place come down, bring a team down every year. Traveling it all over, Nova Scotia, to BC, Saskatchewan teams, Ontario teams, Manitoba teams, all over Canada. We invite, they get like 40 some men's teams and 10 women's teams.
When is this held?
It's held in May usually.
Do you go?
I go and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They gave him that name Chief when he was in the NHL.
Okay.
Is he is native?
And his real name?
It was Freddie Sasakamus.
Sasakamos.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite an honor. He's your grandfather.
Yeah.
And he played in the NHL, what, in
53, 54 season. Like he grew up in residential school all his life.
What is residential school?
Where
is it like a reservation type of thing, or was it
it's where nuns and priests or white
Oh, you're
people,
like Catholic school.
Yeah.
Okay.
They come and take all the kids off the reserve.
Okay.
Take them away from their parents. Native kids away from their parents, and go put them all in one big building, and they grow up in there without their parents.
Oh wow!
Keep them from their parents, and they get hit in there and everything if they try to speak their language, and like we were stolen from our language and everything, right? And he grew up in there all his life, and him and his brother, my grandpa, Freddie, Frank Sasaka, whatever. Like a school like this, they only had little big rooms with a single cot to sleep in with all these other kids who got taken from their families.
And at what age were they taken from their families?
About probably about 5, 6 years old.
And they weren't allowed to speak their native tongue.
Yeah, if they did, they get whipped or whatever. Like, if you look up Freddie Sasaka's on, I kind of get into my phone.
So he grew up there. Is that where he learned to play hockey?
Yeah, a priest took him aside and taught him how to skate. Well, his grandpa, he learned how to play hockey on a pond back home where I grew up there, where he grew up. His house was right there. And there was a lake down from his house there, right in our area there where we grew up.
This is before he went to school.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
And his grandpa took him down there to skate or whatever, and he was watching these hockey games on. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, he was down at the pond. He'd go down to the pond. His grandpa was deaf, right? He'd come down to the pond to go skate every day. We'd watch him skate every day, and he'd make us hockey. He'd watch hockey listen to hockey on the radio or something. Anyways, he'd go make a hockey stick out of a willow, and he'd take a frozen horse shit as a puck. That's how he learned how to stick handling.
So frozen horse dung became the puck.
Yeah. And then when he went to residential school, a priest noticed that he was good, getting better. He took him aside. The priest took him aside and started playing hockey with him and all that. Like, letting him play hockey with the bigger boys and all that. He was fast on his skates. He was good with the puck, whatever. The priest recognized.
How did your grandfather feel about that particular priest? Was he a kind man, or was he?
He found him a kind man.
He found, compared to the way the nuns treated him in the school.
Yeah. Like, he ran away from residential school trying to go home, but they'd always find him and drag him back. He ran away, like, the residential school was in Duck Lake, and that's like an hour and a half drive vehicle. But
and he would
run away and
he'd run away, walk
home. They'd find him back home. Anyways,
they obviously have corrected that. They don't have residential schools that are like that anymore.
No more, because they're paying back. They're trying to pay back everybody that went to residential school with money, but it doesn't.
Oh, they got restitution.
Yeah.
For that. Good.
So,
has the Catholic Church apologized for that?
That's what the Pope come down for. Edmonton, they come to try to apologize for that.
So the Pope came to apologize for.
Yeah, just recently.
Oh, I did not know
They're
that.
still fighting about it. The Pope come down to try to send an apology and all that.
What's your? Do you have a story about your grandfather's time in the NHL that you like, that you remember? How did he describe that? That he played for the Chicago Blackhawks?
Yeah. I like the story where he said he had a Chinese guy on his right wing and a black guy on his left wing as hockey player. And the way he'd make sure he do his line reads, he'd have a yellow lace on one skate and a black lace on the other. So he knew which way they were playing, right? And he knew they were.
That's fascinating.
And the way right on.
Did the residential school have a hockey team to compete?
Yeah.
So he played on that hockey team.
Yeah.
How did the NHL find him? How did they scout him?
They scout the Moose Jaw Canucks. There's like an AHL team or whatever. And he got scouted. He went home. To his mom and dad because he wanted to go home for a while. They let him go. He was at home. He thought he was free from residential school, right? And he went home now finally. He was only home for like 5 days or whatever. And like he was supposed to go play hockey for the winter after, right? But he was on. Anyway, he went home and these guys come and got him to go back and play hockey again in Moose Jaw. So he was telling his mom, I don't want to go, I'm done now, I'm home now, he kept saying, eh? And his mom told him, go my boy, these guys need you, they want you, you're good at something, go.
So she realized that his talent at school could help him.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't
go farther, like, right? And then he went back, anyways, he went to play another few more games with the Moose Jaw.
And
then he was getting tired of it, but then all of a sudden, the scout come in the room. With his coaches and that. They told him.
I want to hear that. Yeah.
They come in there and they're like, Ready, Sasakamoose, bag up all your stuff. You're catching the next train to Chicago. You're going to play with the Chicago Blackhawks. You've been drafted up.
How did that feel?
And he was like, he was overwhelmed, I guess. He was scared, whatever, to go farther away. So, but there's a book out about him.
My name's William. This is a reality show.
Yeah.
Called Ridin with Willy. Can I share that story with my listeners? I've been recording your conversation, interviewing you for the show. I have to have your permission to use it, but I'd like to share your grandfather's story.
Well, it goes something like that anyway. Yeah, go ahead.
I can share it on the podcast?
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this very special bonus episode of Riding with Willy. Look for a few more bonus episodes of Season 1 in the coming weeks. Follow us here or on your favorite podcast streaming platform for notifications about these and future shows. Riding with Willy is a production of the Pod 615 and William Kitchens Creative Group, Inc.,